Welcome back, Courage Collective listeners. I am so excited to be here with Dr. Brenda Stratton. She is a TV talk show host, a coach, and a meologist. Y'all, I cannot wait to find out what this means and how she even became a meologist. So, welcome, Dr. Brenda. So good to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great, great. Please share with us all about you, your story, and how you became this thing called a meologist. We'd love to hear.
Well, I'm going to start with the story. I was sitting in a room and we were getting to know one another. It was a small group room. They were asking icebreaker questions like, what was your life like around the ages of 12 to 16? But before they got to me, I began to weep uncontrollably. I began to weep and cry. I didn't know why. I knew that there was some difficulty between my father because he was very authoritarian, and but I didn't know. So I was able to get through the questions. But after that, it was a it was a missionary training because I've been involved in missionary work for 45 years. And so I asked a question and I said, why do I act like this? And I heard a voice that I was familiar with, that how God speaks to me. And he said, in your mother's womb, you received the spirit of rejection. Well, I didn't understand that at all. So I was in another state. I called her and asked her about it. And so she said, there was 5 years difference between you and your sister. I couldn't believe I could get pregnant. I didn't believe it. So I went to two doctors in one day. And so she began to explain how that my birth was so different. I was always coming up this way. She couldn't sit down with me because of that spirit of rejection. Because of that, that took me on a journey to find out, okay, what does this mean? Because I always felt like I was never good enough. I was rejected. I felt those emotions. So it took me on a journey to get rid of this pain. So I started going every place, everywhere I could find to get the help I needed. And after I got this help, after freedom came, after I began to understand, I found the original source of the pain. But because I had never dealt with that pain, I kept building on that pain and pain and pain. And once I got free from that pain, then I was told, you got free, your mess will become your message. Go and free other people. So thus, what happened was I have I help people to go back and find the original source of their pain. I help them to get unstuck and to find their identity so they could be free. So thus, meologists evolved. I help you get over you. I'm a four-time number one best-selling author, and really the book that started a lot of this was, Lord, deliver me from me, how to stop becoming your own worst enemy. Because if you don't release the pain, you become your own worst enemy. You capture your soul in that pain. So that's how I became the world's only, and I had a trademark because I want to help people to discover. I find so many people. I have had the privilege, Nikki, of sharing with over 2,000 people in over 35 countries, finding freedom to release the pain. And I have been the only woman to take her books on death row in California and share that.
Wow. Wow. Like that could literally be the end of the podcast because you're amazing. This is amazing. I mean, really, to think that through. Wow. Like we all have something inside of us that, maybe keeps us stuck or we think back to, or wow, this is amazing. So honored to have you on this podcast and to learn what a meologist is and how amazing that is. When you encounter freedom, you really can really start living life, and I think that's what's so beautiful about it, that you've been able to help so many people. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I obviously, you are a woman of faith, and so I want to ask you, as an entrepreneur and doing this for so long, is there a verse or a quote, something that as you've walked this path, you have kind of hung to, something that comes back to you in your mind, that really speaks volumes to you?
Well, the thing, I have lots of verses, but the thing that has really propelled me is when, because I'm a woman of faith, when I understand now my identity based on what God says I am and not what the world says I am or even who I think I am. Because
Mm,
he has made clear to me who he thinks I am. And that's brought freedom throughout my life.
mm. Yeah, that is a really good word, and definitely something that will encourage you in your days for sure. I mean,
Yes.
when you know him, and when you know what he says about you, it definitely brings a joy, that you clearly have all over your face, and in your heart, that is just so incredible. It's really beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm assuming that you've worked from home many of these years, that you have been a meologist and a coach. And could you encourage the listeners that maybe this is new for them, like with pandemic and all of that stuff? Like, do you have a morning routine, something that gets you up and gets you started every day?
Yes, I have a morning routine. I get up, and the first thing I do is I have time with God. So I read, I sing, I study the word, and I declare it. I declare the promises that He has made. I declare who I am. And then more recently, one of the things that He's really given me to do is the first thing that God said about who He was is that He created. So now He's given me a time where I create with Him. I bring my dreams, my visions, and I bring them to him. And I said, what do you think about this? Where should I be focusing my attention on this? What should I be doing now? And he very clearly, sometimes it's humorous. God is not static. He is in a relationship with us. So I'm very humorous. So he is very humorous with me. And he will tell me to do this. I said, well, that's not really what I asked you. But I said, but since you said to do this, it makes sense. And it just like he said to me, clean up your desks and take everything out of that one drawer and put all the folders you're working on. Put the urgency, put what you have to do today, put these things, and that you will always be able to find them. Sometimes we lose all those papers on our desks because we don't have them organized.
Mm,
Creating with God means that He is concerned with all things because He has purpose in everything you do. He's a God that
yes.
made purpose. He's purposeful.
Mm,
He didn't do anything arbitrarily. He always does things on purpose, for purpose, and he has purpose for you. And so,
mm.
therefore, I create with God, and then I start my day.
Wow, wow, that is awesome. And definitely too, like we both know that God is not a God of chaos. So really him telling you to like organize and get right is really true to his character, right? Because I think that, you how can you really be successful, whatever that word means to you, with scatterbrained and things all over the place and not able to it's hard to do for sure. I'm sure there's people that do it, but it is hard to do. But I love that, he's such an amazing God, and to know that like he spoke that, and that's part of who he is. So that's really awesome. And do you set goals, and where maybe do you keep them? I know you say you create with God during the day and things like that, but do you have these goals that you might work on throughout your days, weeks, months?
Yeah, I goal set, but it's more I goal set with God. He gives me a plan. I see my destiny. He gives me a plan. So I'll work within a frame of a year. I won't, I'll have goals 5 years down the road, but I work with a goal within a year. And why I do that is because every year he gives me a promise about that year. And so
Mm.
I work toward what are the things, like just say I do TV, so we're going to have commercials around the TV. Anybody who wants to have their business out there can run a commercial around my program. And so now I'm saying, how many people do I need to get? And so I work toward getting that. So I work on the goals, but we can have a lot of things and we can get overwhelmed in life by
Mm.
a whole lot of stuff. So God told me, write these things down that you need to accomplish, but do not get bogged down with them every day. Write three things that you need to get accomplished for that day. And if you get those
Mm.
three things accomplished, then that's enough. And if you want to move on to something, if you have more time, you can, but I don't want you to get overwhelmed because I have a nonprofit, organization, Message to the Nation. I'm an author, and I have a coaching business. So I can get overwhelmed by all of the things that
Mm.
you have to do when you're a solopreneur, you know, when it's just mainly you and a few good, helpful friends that you don't pay.
Love those friends. We love those friends. Uh, that is really awesome. And listeners, I want you to take that away from what Dr. Brenda is saying to us. This is a good actionable tip. Write those three things down that you could get done for today. And I think that's really helpful in this moment, because you're right. We could be doing all the things to try to move the needle and meet the next person and do the next thing and get ourselves all wound. But when we do those three things that have been set before you, and if you're a person of faith, you ask God, Lord, what are the three things you want me to do today? And you know what? I'm actually going to start doing this today, because I really do. I write a list of all the things, and then
Yeah.
I mark them off accordingly, right? Because I feel like, there's a lot going on, there's a lot to do. But I do sometimes find myself going in circles because I'm trying to do all these things, and maybe there's just three really good things that he wants me to do today. And once I accomplish those, the tasks are done at hand, and then I can be the mom and wife and all the things I need to be for the rest of my day. So that's really, really good word, guys. So that's a good actionable step to take from this podcast. If you're walking right now or you're doing something, like, I suggest you forward this to your text and you listen when you can have a minute, or you can write that good word down. So also, I love to ask, when I'm interviewing, what is your biggest challenge you might be facing right now, and how are you overcoming it? Is there something that you could share with us, that you're willing to share with us?
Well, my biggest, I think, in business, because you have different challenges.
Sure.
So in business, my biggest challenge is the field of technology. My biggest challenge is I have all I have a coaching business. I help people to write and publish their books. I'm TV talk show and producer, and I have a nonprofit where I take people on missionary journeys. So my problem right now is having somebody to come inside of me and help me to get all of these together so that I can get my word out there. That's my big
Mm.
challenge, business wise. Now, right now in uh, my personal life, I don't have any great challenges I could say. And it's not that I didn't have, but in 2019, I was already prepared for 2020.
Mm.
2019, for your viewers, I was full time. I did all coaching and stuff, but my main job was missionary. Well, missionaries get paid by donations. So in 2019, I lost over half of my income. That was the biggest challenge that I had ever faced.
Wow.
So when
Hmm.
2020 came, it wasn't no big deal because I had already, and I began to pivot. Now I'm going to tell, because I'm using this for my advantage. I'm 72 years old. I'm a
Say
woman.
what?
Yes, I've had to pivot and therefore put the business so the business could help to propel what I want to do in the ministry.
Mm.
So I am pivoting and getting out here. I had to pivot. I'm television. I produced 6 shows, revolutionized my life. And
Love
because
it.
of my life experiences and what I've learned, I can really help people to revolutionize because I don't teach what I think, I teach what I experience. So
Mm.
that I have authority in that and I have overcome it. Because, like I said, right now, there is no challenge, there's just opportunities.
Man, oh man. Listen, I don't know who's listening right now and how old you are. And if you think your life is over and you got nothing else to do, let's take a word out of Dr. Brenda's book and just sit right here for a minute. 72 looks, I mean, she actually could be lying to me right now, but I don't think she is. But she does not look 72. I really don't know what 72 looks like, but you're beautiful. Your joy radiates. You're amazing. And that is it. Like, even when it's hard, even when you lose half your donations, which was half your income, you're not finished yet. And you know you're not. So you pivoted and you went a different direction and were creative with the things that God had already given you. So, man, oh man, guys, this is a good word right here. Like, this is good stuff. Dr. Brenda, you are incredible and you have given so many good words so far. But the one question I want, or the one thing I want to leave with is, what would you tell the person listening right now to encourage them in this very moment that could be exceedingly hard and they have no idea what to do right now? It's hard, it's painful, they've lost people, things, all of the above. Well, what would you say to this person right now?
I would say to not lose hope, which is the expectation of good. Come in
Mm.
the opposite spirit. Take that which is negative and turn it to a positive. Take that which has been the most painful and see how they can use it to bless someone else. Your pain is always a point where which you are not experiencing for your own self alone. It is always to help you and therefore to help someone else. Yes, you might have lost loved ones, and we can't take that back. You might have lost
Mm.
half of all of your income. Are you breathing? Take a deep breath. Be grateful. Be
Mm.
grateful that you are still left here on earth and there's still purpose for you to fulfill. Listen, I know I have way less on this side of the mountain than I had when I was younger. I have to make this time count. When I went into this year, 2020, and God told me, He said, if my people will listen, they will come out better than when they went in. Now, I told you I lost half of my income, but in 2020, I had to get a new car, and I had to because my car messed up. I got a brand new car, a brand new computer, a brand new phone, and made much less than I had ever made. But God is faithful. God is able to do super abundantly far above what we dare ask or think, according to the power which worketh in us. Take the power that He's given you and make something of it. Create with God, because your life is not over, it's just beginning. Most people who are doing successful business will tell you that they lost everything at one time. They crushed, they fell down. Now you can either be in the ring, because Paul the apostle said, I'm knocked down, but I'm not knocked out. It's how you get
Yes.
up. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be knocked down. It depends on how you get up. You got to get up fighting. You got to get up believing God. You got to get up encouraging yourself. Get up because you're still
Yes.
breathing.
Yes. Yes. Dr. Brenda, that's going to be the name of this show. This podcast episode is called Get Up, because that is it right there. We are going to be knocked down, right? Things are going to happen
Yes.
inevitably. We're going to
Yes.
get up and we're going to continue and we're going to fight. And this is why we're here. This is why this podcast was started, to encourage others that might be knocked down, but they can get up. Dr. Brenda, thank you. It's been an absolute honor to interview with you. I appreciate you so, so much.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed being here. Thank you so much for having me.